Okay. Good morning, everybody. How are you? I hope that you are all doing well. My name is Jenny Davis. I am letting in Ms. Gunter right now. Um, so our topic today, and by the way, we only have wait, I just forgot the weeks. We have two more Zoom with the principals after this. So yeah, we have one next week and then the following week, and then that's it. The last week of school during finals, we do not have one scheduled because that is when I am actually going to be out on the football field with all the seniors doing graduation practice. Um, so the end of the school year is coming up very, very fast. Our topic for today is talking about those of you who are the parents of seniors and you need to cope with your child graduating. Some of you may have like your youngest child and you're fully going into the empty nest where all of your children are going to be out of the house. So we're going to talk about that. Yvonne and I will share how we dealt with it. And then we'll talk about like what we've discovered as kind of like as our kids have grown up and now we're adults, like the joy of that. So give you something to look forward to. I am going to warn you guys, I am going to have to cut today's meeting off at like at 9:29. I'm at the district office this morning. I have a meeting that starts at 9:30, so I'm going to have to jump off and then run to another room. This is gonna be a brief meeting today. But Yvonne and I, our oldest children were both the class of 2021. They graduated from high school 3 years ago. And I remember 3 years ago, Yvonne, you and I like doing this for parents and talking about, I think you started crying, which is not unusual. Um,
I did.
but just like the fear and like the emotions we had about our oldest children graduating and potentially moving out of the house. I didn't actually experience that because that year my daughter went to junior college at first and still lived at home her first year, but then moved away. And yeah, it's when they move out, well, I guess my biggest word of warning, if you haven't gone through this yet, be prepared for your house being so much more quiet. Just having that one person gone, and you don't like my daughter is not a particularly loud person, but just like having that, like the sounds of like somebody else walking through the house, that's what struck me with like just how quiet everything was. And there was such an adjustment period. Yvonne, how about yourself?
Oh my goodness. I'm so dramatic in hindsight because he went to San Jose State, but he lived in the dorm. So that's like I could literally see San Jose State from my backyard and like I was devastated. One of the things that really like stands out to me is in the weeks leading up to him leaving, I had this flood of guilt, like literally thinking of very specific times when he was like, Amy, your kid's age, like 2 and 3, of like the time he wanted to go to the park and I was too tired. Like just all the things that I wish I had done better literally came to me in those weeks. And I cried so much. I was just like, gosh, there's so many things I could have done better. And you're at this like last minute, like trying to like make amends for all the things that you think you didn't do perfectly. And one of the things I always tell parents is like, honestly, I think our parents and ourselves, for the most part, we do the best with what we know at the time. And, I would definitely give yourself some grace during this time because we're not perfect, but man, is it emotional. The house was certainly more quiet. There was one less mouth to feed, which I actually enjoyed. And I think I had this weird, because I have 3 kids, so I had 2 more at home, and I had this very weird like sense of like, oh my gosh, what is my purpose going to be? Like I started to feel like my purpose going away. And like even now when my middle one is 11th grade, my baby's 10th grade, and I'm like, in 2 years, who am I? Like what do I do? Like is my husband and I gonna like be the couple who like sits across from each other at a diner at 7 a.m. reading the newspaper? Like what's gonna happen? Like I have these like worries about what life's gonna look like because after 18 years, it's like that's who I've become, and that's
Yeah.
what I do every day is because of them.
I
It's
have
weird.
I have a close friend. Her youngest child is graduating from high school this year. And she's always been that mom, like many of you guys, like Virginia, I know you're on here and you're that mom that's like super involved in the school. And, she runs the weekly newsletter for the school. She does all this stuff. She's at every like track meet and like event. She does so much. And she's like, I'm gonna have to like figure out what my new hobby is going to be because her hobby has been being the school mom. And that's she's going to need to figure out something. And so she's been like, we've been talking about this for the past couple months as it's gotten closer to graduation time. And so I've seen her be kind of sad about it, but then also kind of excited about the possibilities and what this, like the other day, she said, I just realized my husband and I will be able to take a vacation that does not surround school calendars. And that actually blew my mind. I mean, I'm gonna have to retire before that happens because I work at a school, so my whole life revolves around school calendars. But like for her, just to have that, like, we could just take a vacation in the middle of September. Why not? And just like having that freedom. Um, I was excited for her to do that. Okay, so I want to definitely there's emotion. There's going to be change and that can be hard to deal with. But what are some of just like the small things, Yvonne, you've touched on having one less mouth to feed. Um, and like that and like the unexpected benefit. My unexpected benefit that I did not anticipate, and I think I've talked to you guys about this before. I share a bathroom with my daughter. We have a boys' bathroom and a girls' bathroom in my house. And so when she moved out, I was able to clean out the bathroom and organize it the way I wanted. And it was like my bathroom. And like that, oh my gosh, I was so happy about it. Now every time she comes home and her stuff's all over the bathroom, it drives me insane. So
That's, that's a good one. I mean, just one less mess. You don't even realize how like we have 5 people in the house, actually 6 now, and the washing machine line is ridiculous because everybody does their laundry on Sunday nights. And when he was gone, that was one thing for me. There was a couple days where he tried to bring his laundry back, and I was like, no. That for me was like just the little tiny things. Obviously, I would love to have him there. The other thing that I really loved is missing him and then getting to see him. When he would come home, it was like a whole production. I would like make dinner, which I rarely do. The kids would be all excited. We would like spend like quality time together. Like it was like a whole thing. And it was like the highlight of my week. I'd come home and he'd be there to like surprise me, and I'm like loving it. Like it just was this whole new dynamic for us. Um, and watching him grow up, like just be independent and grow up and kind of getting to watch that. And you know um I think one of the worries that I always had was like my kid's not ready to be on his own. And one of the things I want to remind everybody is like of course they're not ready. That's where they're going to get ready to be adults. There's no expectation for them to have it all together when they leave for college. They're still the same person, just moving away. So just keep that in mind. Like this is the time for them to grow and be independent, and you're going to be shocked in a year or two when you see what they're capable of. It blows my mind. Like I'm like, who are you? Saving
yeah.
money and paying bills, and it's so cool.
Well, and also be prepared for them to call you or more likely probably send you a text message asking you like the most obvious, like, how do you do this or how does this work? And you're like, oh my gosh, did I not teach you anything? How do you not know that? And so just be prepared for that. But it's, yeah, as they grow up, my daughter is turning 21 this Sunday. And I she's just in a whole new phase of her life. And so just, she like in like thinking back and it happens so fast. So that time that they're in college and this like phase, in between graduating high school and then becoming like a full-fledged independent adult, it goes really fast. I cannot believe she's about to be a senior in college. And just thinking back where she was 3 years ago, where she had no idea what she wanted to do with her life. So if your kid is graduating high school and they have no clue, that's okay, because they do actually figure it out. And so to fast forward 3 years, and now she's got this whole plan and she knows exactly what she wants to do. And she, and I felt like, especially since she went into junior college first, I felt like that first year of college, I was still supporting her a lot, and like guiding her, and it's been a slow transition, but now I feel like the amount of help that she's asking is so much less. Like she's like pretty much got it. So now when she's asking for stuff, it's because she's going into education, and so she wants to be a teacher. And so she'll ask me like questions for her classes, like in a professional, because I'm somebody that a resource for her to learn about stuff. So, like she's in an educational leadership class this semester, and so she interviewed me for her class, which was kind of fun. And so yeah, like there's just like this whole new, like seeing her in this, like, wow, like I see you as an adult now and you're responsible, and like it's amazing.
We've come so far, Ginny.
I know, I know.
Hot mess. I was a hot mess. And then poor Amy and Rupert here, you got a long ways to go. So really like enjoy it because it's so cliche, but it goes by so fast. But it is like this whole other joy. Like you think about like losing your kid as a baby and losing all the stuff, but there's so much gain as they get older. It is just like it blows your mind that you made that. Like you helped that happen and become the person that they are. And watching them go through mistakes. I think I shared this before, but it was like 2 weeks into my son living on campus. I get a phone call from some random roommate that he had drank a lot and pretty much destroyed the dorm. And it was this whole thing because my son had never gotten in trouble one time in his whole life. And, even that now in hindsight was like a lesson he had to learn. It was horrible. It was horrendous. And there were struggles. It wasn't all like cakewalk, like, oh, he went to college and things were great. I don't think he passed any classes his first semester. Like it was hard. It was definitely hard. But watching him kind of come from that to what he is now makes it even more of a beautiful thing because it's like you're an idiot, you did really stupid things, but we all do. But to watch him use that and be different and grow and mature, it's just like he's a junior in the business program, and right now he's like looking feverishly for an internship and thinking about grad school, and I'm like, who are you? Like how did this even happen?
I do want
So
to,
it's like
like
when
you mentioned the grades, and it's hard. And this is just kind of
Ooh,
like for parents, because in high school, I mean, we hopefully, like talk to you guys as parents that as they go through high school, we need to kind of back off a little bit. Though I feel like right now, if you've got a kid that's a graduating senior and they're in danger of not graduating, yeah, you have to be sitting on them. I mean, you want them to get through that finish line, and sometimes you have to really push. Um, but when they go off to college, they're on their own. Like you as the parent can't be monitoring their grades anymore. If you try to talk to the college professors as a parent, they will laugh at you. I have a friend who's a college professor, and she talks about the parents that reach out, and she's like, no, I'm not going to talk to you. I don't have to. They don't do that in college. So just like be prepared that the transition that first semester may be a little bit difficult, where they, especially if they've been leaning on you and now they can't, like there may be a transition. My advice would be stick it out, like the hopefully we'll figure it out. My daughter did, like she struggled at first. She didn't quite fail all her classes, but like it was like her figuring out how to study and how to stay on top of things herself without me like giving her advice and telling her like, hey, no, you have to do this right now. Like it took some time, but now she's got it down. She's got it figured out. So they do have to learn that, and it's sometimes there's some growing pains with learning that.
And I think it's important that, I think some of us might be like more micromanaging when it comes to grades and things like that. And that transition of not being able to do that anymore is very difficult. I just got a memory on my Facebook, and it was maybe 3 weeks before my son's graduation 3 years ago. And it was his counselor had baked him cookies, like bribing him to not fail his English class because he would get his offer rescinded from San Jose State. And I remember being so like invested in that. And now I don't even really know what his grades are. As far as I know, he's passing everything. But we had some growing pains of like him being like, it's my business. I'm an adult now. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And then having that balance of like, well, I'm paying for it, so I should know, just kind of those kind of arguments, if you will, were really difficult. And even now it's like, there's not like this cutoff day where you're like, all of a sudden I'm not allowed to tell you what to do anymore. It like doesn't work like that. So really like giving them space to grow and make mistakes is not my strength. I like want to be all up in the business all the time, and it just doesn't work like that. And so just as even if they're in high school, if your kid's not a senior now, like practicing that and giving them Ginny's laughing already.
Well, no, I'm laughing at like, I think it's hard for the kid too, that
Uh-huh.
they have a hard time. Like I teased my daughter not too long ago because she asked permission to go on a trip this summer. And I was like, you're an adult. I mean, are you asking me to pay for it? Because that's a different conversation. But you just going on a trip, you get to make that decision for yourself. Like that's you're an adult now. So if like we're having a conversation about finances, okay, then let's have that conversation. But you don't need my permission to actually go do something.
Right,
And
right.
so I think it's kind of a like they have to learn and figure that out. Like, oh, I can just do something. Like that's a weird thing for them.
That would be way easier if your worry just stopped when they turn 18.
Oh,
Like I'm
well,
worried
yeah.
all the time. My kid comes home late. I tell people my dad, I'm 45 years old. Am I 45 or 46? And my dad literally texts me like, drive safely, make sure you put your seatbelt on. Like, I'm like, Dad, it's the law, I have to. And he just worry. And it's like that doesn't go away. So having less control and that same level of worry, that's actually another benefit because there were times where he was in school and I didn't forget about him, but he wasn't in the forefront of my mind. So
Right.
my worry was a little bit less because he wasn't just like on my mind all the time, and I didn't, coming home late and things like that. That was a plus because I'm a very anxious mom. I think worst case scenario all the time. So for me,
I
that was actually good.
Yeah, I would say, and it definitely lessened. Like as I got used to her being gone, my anxiety and worry decreased just little by
Yeah.
little. I mean, I remember when she first moved out and like, we share each other's location on our phone. I would check her location all the time. And like, where is she? Is she at school? Like, is she doing something? Where is she? And like now, I actually don't remember. I think the last time I checked her location, she came home a couple weekends ago and then she didn't text me to tell me that she got home. Usually she does, but she had forgotten. And so I checked her location. I'm like, did she get home? And she did. So, so it's not, I feel like I was like the anxiety about how is she doing and is she, like that definitely has lessened.
That's a good point because like the only time I check his location now is if he's bringing me Starbucks and it's been a minute and I want to know where he is. Like that's literally the only time.
You're checking him like he's DoorDash.
One of these days, you guys, your kids are gonna run errands for you. It's gonna be beautiful.
Yes. Yes, it is. I can't like my son, he's turning 15 next week. And I'm like the other day, I was like, when he starts driving and I can get him to start like going out and running some errands, that's gonna be nice.
It's awesome. Those DoorDash fees get kind of hefty. So if your kid can just go pick it up, it's kind of nice.
I'm
Or
purposely
What did you
buying a
have
second vehicle
a
you're
to have
thinking
one of my
what
sons be my wife's like gopher to get everything she wants. She wants to go to Target. Either she goes with you or you go by yourself. Either way. I'm just like I'm looking forward to that. Like them being able to drive so I don't have to drive everywhere.
yeah, yeah, that it's that like and I went teaching my daughter how to drive. Um oh my God, like life flashing before my eyes. It was, I didn't know you could sweat from the bottom of your feet, but she was like, stop grabbing the side of the car. And I was like, oh my God, it was awful.
Awful.
It was terrifying. But once she learned and like I trusted, like, okay, she can actually drive. It's
They're
fine.
not off. Is it with the 15 minutes?
Her like
Would they
having
pull?
that freedom and having her be able to go and do things and I didn't have to drive her was amazing. Especially because she had started before she got her driver's license, she had started working. And so we were having to like drop her off at work and pick her up. And it was such a, God, when she started driving and we didn't have to do that anymore, it was amazing.
One of the things I wanted to mention is some of you might not have kids who are moving out already, but I think the biggest thing is to have a life like now. I have seen people just kind of fall into fun. My mother-in-law, God love her, she went into a horrible depression when her boys moved out, and she really didn't have anything. She cooked dinner every night, that was like her thing, and she didn't have like friend groups and bunko clubs or whatever they do. And it was very difficult. And so that's something I'm always conscious of like, I think I have a pretty full life. I try to keep myself busy, and it's fun, but it's also really important because when you just don't have that like motivation anymore, it could get really easy to just fall into a bit of a funk. And so do things for you that are fun. Like, don't feel guilty. And I think we've talked about this before, Jenny, with like our moms of like being in the age of like, I do everything for my kids and I sacrifice everything for myself. And my mom makes me feel guilty when I go on vacation without my kids and things like that. And I have to remind her, like, you were not well when you were my age because of stress. You had a heart attack when you were 43. You were a mess. And I'm not going to follow that pattern because I appreciate all the things you did, but I don't want to feel guilty for having a life outside of my kids because one day they're going to be gone and I'm still going to have that life. So that's kind of been a
thank you.
source of tension.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That is so important. And so I'm going to give all of you as parents a homework assignment. I'm giving you 2 weeks to do it. So our topic in 2 weeks, it's our last topic for the school year, and it's summer self-care and how we model self-care. So I want you guys to think about over the next 2 weeks, what is a new hobby, a new like interest you're going to take up, something that you're going to do just for you, that you're going to start developing just for you.
Just have fun in Vegas. Good
I
for
know.
you.
That don't have any guilt about a girls trip. That's the best time you're gonna have. Love a girls trip.
I always wonder how my husband could travel for work or whatever he does and not feel guilty at all. Like that's got to be such a weird. Like I'm gone for an hour at Target and I feel bad that I'm not home with the kids. Like I'm not saying it's a man thing. It might just be a specifically my husband thing. But for me, it's even now that they're older and can feed themselves, I feel guilty when I'm not home. So I am glad, Virginia, that you do not have 1 ounce of guilt because you should not. You work hard.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to wrap this up. And I'm sorry, I know I'm cutting this. Is like we never go this short, but I do have a meeting that's starting in 4 minutes. So so your homework, you have 2 weeks to figure out what your new hobby is going to be, and then we'll talk about that on the 22nd. Next week on the 15th, we're actually going to revisit a topic that we've already talked about, and we're going to be talking about acceptance and kind of resetting goals. And I was thinking about this because like my friend whose kid is about to graduate high school, he did not get into the college that he wanted to get into and has been kind of devastated about it. And so it made me really start thinking about, kids that maybe didn't get into the college they want, or the year didn't end the way they wanted to. Maybe there's stuff in our life that just didn't work out the way we wanted it to. And how do we kind of accept that and then reset our goals? So I thought this was kind of a timely time to revisit that topic a little bit. And hopefully give you guys some advice on if you have a child going through some struggles like that and how you can help them. Thank you guys so much for talking about this. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this topic. I hope it made you feel better about your emotions you might have about your senior graduating high school. Yes, it is a very emotional time, and yes, feel all the emotions, but also know that there's a lot of good to look forward to. That it's actually you're moving into a different phase of your life, but I think it's a really good phase. I've personally have really enjoyed it. So, all right.
Get to your meeting.
Okay. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.